This is a short story about how I end up fighting with our car insurance company to come to a fair settlement for our vehicle. By the way, we had Safeco Insurance, which is a Liberty Mutual company. So, whichever one you have, they're probably going to operate the same way. About a month ago, I hit a curb with my wife's 2017 Lincoln MKX and had it towed home. The next day, I called our insurance company provider and they advised us to have the vehicle towed to Gerber Collision. I followed up a couple times with the lady at Gerber, and she said she was waiting to hear from the guy at Safeco. And so I called Safeco and was patched through to my adjuster, who told us that our vehicle had been totaled, and he kind of pushed me to accept $15,271 for our totaled vehicle. Now, my wife's Lincoln was paid off, and I didn't have a very good idea what it was worth, so I started researching on Auto Trader, Carvana, Craigslist, and Facebook Marketplace. It became clear to me that Liberty Mutual Safeco was kind of trying to get over on me because I couldn't find any similar vehicles for what they were offering me. And it's important to note that Safeco is not very responsive to communications. I'd call or send an email. It might take 2 to 4 days for them to get back to me. They're in no hurry to help because you only have, I think it's 10 days of rental coverage, and after that, you're left without a vehicle. So they kind of milk the clock and run it out on you so you feel pressure to accept a lower settlement than you should. So beware of that. You're going to have to get on them. Anyway, they sent me a market valuation report, which was prepared by some company named CCC One. Now, what you need to know about CCC One is that they're only used by insurance companies, and insurance companies use them, not car dealers, only insurance companies use them to generate these lowball valuations so they can shortchange your customers. Now, I'm a mortgage lender for a living, and I know a little bit about how to read an appraisal. And when I started looking at this one, I found several things that didn't seem quite right. Each of the two vehicles they had used as comparables had a bunch more mileage on my vehicle, and they were lowball sales. They weren't comparable vehicles. Also, the CCC One was whacking the value of my vehicle by $1,907 for condition. Now, our vehicle was in pristine condition. It could have gone right on a showroom floor without even needing to be vacuumed. It was real nice, and I knew that nobody at Safeco had gone and seen this car. They hadn't even looked at photographs on it. So this was some computer-generated number, this condition adjustment that they were making. So I end up being ignored by our adjuster for a bit and end up having to call into their automated menu and got a manager on the line, and she sent me an updated CCC One report, and it came in at $16,458. So this was about almost $1,200 more than the original one, but it still was a low ball valuation. And I scrutinized this report heavily and found that this company CCC One was going 300, 400, 250 miles away to find vehicles that sold in other states for way less than what vehicles are selling for here in the Scottsdale, Phoenix, Arizona market. And I complained with them and was just kind of ignored. And then I started doing some research, and I learned that you can invoke an appraisal process, and that's where you get an appraiser who analyzes your vehicle and says it's worth X, and they get their own appraisal, and the two of them kind of argue it out and come to some sort of agreed figure. Now, if you don't like what they come to, you can actually have a third appraiser act as a referee between yours and theirs, and you might want to do that on a bigger claim than ours. Our appraiser, a gal named Mia, who I found locally. By the way, there's a bunch of them online who will send you some appraisal report. You'll pay $250. Don't do that. It's not worth anything as far as my reading suggests, because you need somebody who's going to actually represent you and talk to you and communicate with your insurance company to sort this out. I found a local appraiser and paid her $450, and I'd say she was absolutely worth it. She went to work and ended up negotiating a figure of $18,625 with Safeco's appraiser. This was $3,350 more than Safeco's original offer, and it gave us enough money where we could get a suitable vehicle to replace my wife's one that I totaled. All right. Don't hesitate to leave a comment here or if you have some questions. Again, I recommend not accepting your insurance company's initial offer and fight them a bit. And if you need to, get a local appraiser who lives in your market who can serve as your advocate to wrestle with the insurance company. Hope this is helpful to you and your family.